Welcome back, students. I'm here with the explanation of the last chapter of Honeydew, The Great Stone Face Part 2. As Ernest grew, his wisdom and his popularity grew manifold. He never desired or sought fame, but his wise thoughts paved way for only fame and respect to come his way. His fame spread beyond the valley, and people from distant lands came seeking his company. His house was always open for such passerby, to comfort them with his kind and gentle words. During this time, while Ernest was growing up, a poet from the native valley who had been away from the native land had become famous through his sweet poems. Also, the great stone face had attained greater glory, for the poet had celebrated the great stone face in his poetry. Ernest was touched by the songs written by this poet. After the day's work was over, besides gazing at the great stone face, reading the poet's poetry had become another regular feature of Ernest's routine. Though Ernest had not before seen the poet, he begins to believe the poet to be the likeness of the great stone face. Ernest would ask this question to the great stone face: "Is not that man worthy to be your likeness?" and would feel as if the face smiled at his question. Just like Ernest had heard a lot about the poet, so had the poet had heard a lot about Ernest. The poet had also thought much about Ernest's character and had wanted to meet him. Ernest's nobility and simplicity with which he had led life had prompted the poet to meet Ernest. So, one day the poet arrives to meet Ernest. He found Ernest reading a book, and in between his reading, looking up fondly at the great stone face. The poet asked Ernest if he could spend the night at Ernest's house, and as Ernest offered his hospitality to the poet, both began to talk. The poet was much impressed by the wise thoughts of Ernest. Ernest, on the other hand, was admired by the words that he had read on the page. Ernest then wished to become familiar with his guest. At that point, the poet informed Ernest that the words he was reading, the book he was holding, were his books. He was the poet. Ernest begins to compare the features of the poet to that of the great stone face, but lets out a sigh as he examines them. The poet asked Ernest why he was sad, and Ernest replied that he had hoped the poet to be the likeness of the great stone face. But perhaps that was not true. The poet was not a likeness of the great stone face. The poet informs Ernest that he could never be a likeness of the great stone face, for he had not led a noble life. His thoughts and his words on page did not correspond to the way he had lived. The poet tells Ernest that he himself lacked faith in his own thoughts. The poet becomes sad as he shares these details with Ernest. Every evening, Ernest was used to address the people of the valley, his daily audience. As he speaks to his people, sharing his wisdom and thoughts, the poet realizes that Ernest's words had reality and depth. This was so because every single word he uttered was truth in itself. Ernest had led his life in accordance with his convictions. The poet felt that Ernest's life was far nobler than his own poetry. As the poet was becoming more and more conscious of Ernest's nobility, he sees an image of the great stone face in Ernest. The poet could not help but shout that at last the old prophecy had been fulfilled in Ernest himself. All people standing there had to merely look up at Ernest and then at the great stone face to confirm what the poet said was true. Ernest, however, refused to entertain any such idea and silently went back home, continuing to wait for some man who in future would be the likeness of the great stone face. So this is all about the chapter, and this is the end of the second part. I hope you all have understood. I'll be coming with more explanation of our supplementary reader. Till then, take care. Bye bye.